Hey, good morning, guys. It is it's December 28th. I haven't done one in a few days, and so um, I'll go back and make up for it later. Um, Sorry, it's a little dark here. I'm in my shop. It's quiet, and I'm just enjoying some time alone. And this is a really, really good passage. Chambers' take on it's also really good, but it's Matthew 18 when Jesus tells the disciples in response to their question. I love their question. So, Matthew 18, the disciples ask. It says, at that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And I think that question, if you think about that question, it's a really interesting one to ponder. Um, because I think that is the pursuit of most of humanity. Can I be greater? Can I be greater? Can I be greater? Can I do more? Um, it's the more pursuit. Yeah, and I'm really conflicted in all honesty because I think the idea of pursuing excellence in the faith, I've always said pursuing excellence is a good thing, is a righteous thing, is a is a godly thing. Um, but the way in which we do it, I think, is really key. The spirit with which we do it, I think, is key. So when Jesus says to them in response to their who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, um, the question we ask ourselves: am I better? Am I more? Am I greater than I was? Am I greater than him? Am I greater than her? Jesus calls a little child and had him stand among them, and he said, "I tell you the truth: unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this child, is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like a little child." And you can imagine what a little child would have been looked like in the midst of a um, a gathering of disciples, a bunch of disciples around Jesus, adult men, learned men, some of them, um, obviously men who have been doing miracles and um, have been following Jesus. And he brings a child in their midst, and you think the child's got to be a little intimidated, in all honesty, humbled. And he says, unless you change and become like this child, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Not just won't be the greatest, but you'll never enter the kingdom of heaven. So humility is such an understated and under recognized piece of salvation. Chambers then talks about this continual conversion, being humbled as a child, the continuous conversion. He says we have to be continuously converted, continually turn to God as children. And I think this is one of the things that I see as a trap of mature believers, in particular leaders, with Christian leaders. What happens is when Christian leaders gain uh, get some kind of authority, especially spiritual authority, they misunderstand who they are in relation to Christ, and they no longer come to God, as it were, like as humble children, with humility. They feel, and if we're not careful, it can be us too, feel as though we've gained some sense of position, pomp. Um, he says, sorry, a little further down, not gold, God. God holds us responsible every time we refuse to change to a child. Our reason for refusing is willful obstinacy. What God looks on as obstinate weakness, we call strength. Huh. Right, when we're strong, we're weak. When we think we're strong, be careful um, lest ye fall. Be careful. Be careful when you stand, lest you fall. Be careful when you. Why am I missing that one? But be careful that you don't think too much of yourself or think too highly of your position. There are whole tracts of our lives which have not yet been brought into subjection, Chambers says, and it can only be done by this continuous conversion. So I think what it speaks to me today is this, the humility of a child, the humility of a child. When I come before God, understanding no matter where I am in life, understanding that relative to God, I am a child. I am his child, which is a comfort, actually. I wonder what this child thought of when Jesus did this, he used him as an example. I would imagine this is a story he told the rest of his life, that Jesus sat me on his lap, as it were, and told the disciples that they needed to become like me to enter the kingdom of heaven. Anyway, I think I need to check myself some days and make sure that I'm being humble. Do with it what you will. You guys have an awesome day.